Airlines count on seniors not knowing these rules exist. Airlines are billion-dollar businesses optimized for profit, not passenger comfort. And while every traveler deals with hidden fees and confusing policies, senior passengers face a unique set of challenges that the industry quietly exploits. Mobility assistance that never arrives. Medical accommodations buried in fine print. Discount programs that require one specific phone call to unlock. In 2026, knowing these secrets isn't a luxury, it's the difference between a stressful journey and a smooth one. Everything on this list is real, verifiable, and available right now. Most seniors will never hear about any of it. You're about to. Secret number one, you are legally entitled to free mobility assistance at every airport. Airlines owe every senior passenger mobility help, and almost nobody claims it. This is not a premium service. This is not something you pay extra for. Under the Air Carrier Access Act in the United States, the Equality Act in the United Kingdom, and equivalent legislation in Canada and Australia, every airline operating at every commercial airport is legally required to provide mobility assistance to any passenger who requests it, completely free of charge, regardless of whether you have a diagnosed disability. That means wheelchair service from check-in to gate. It means escort assistance through security. It means priority boarding before the general cabin. It means help transferring to your seat if needed. And it means assistance collecting your baggage and reaching ground transportation on arrival. Every single element of that service chain is mandated by law, not offered as a courtesy. But here's the twist. Airlines are not required to offer it. You must request it. And that request must be made at least 48 hours before departure to guarantee availability at every connection point on your itinerary. Walk up without requesting it and the system assumes you don't need it. What most people don't realize is that this assistance covers invisible conditions too. Chronic pain, severe arthritis, cardiac conditions, respiratory issues, and anxiety disorders all qualify. You do not need a wheelchair to claim wheelchair assistance. You do not need to justify your request to any airline employee. The word request is sufficient. Legally, no explanation is required. And this is where it gets crazy. Passengers who pre-request mobility assistance are also statistically less likely to experience missed connections because gate agents are notified of their presence and departure timing is monitored accordingly. Claiming this service makes your entire journey more secure. Up next, a fare discount that airlines offer but never mention at the ticket counter. Secret number two, senior airline discounts still exist, but you have to ask for them specifically. Discounted senior fares are real in 2026, but they vanish if you book online. The widespread belief that senior airline discounts disappeared years ago is only partially true. Several major carriers, including American Airlines, United, Air Canada, and British Airways, maintain senior fare programs that offer meaningful discounts on specific routes and travel windows. The critical detail? These fares are almost never visible on standard booking platforms, comparison websites, or the airline's own consumer-facing website. They exist exclusively through direct telephone booking with the airline's reservations team, and in some cases, through dedicated senior travel agents who maintain access to unpublished fare databases. In 2026, calling the airline directly and specifically asking for available senior fares on your intended route takes approximately 4 minutes and has saved documented travelers between $80 and $340 per ticket compared to the lowest publicly visible online fare. But here's the twist. Senior fares frequently come with more flexible change and cancellation policies than standard economy tickets. For travelers whose plans may shift due to health or family circumstances, that flexibility has real financial value beyond the initial fare saving. What most people don't realize is that travel agents specializing in senior travel maintain relationships with airline consolidators who offer unpublished fares unavailable to the general public by any method. AARP Travel, for example, negotiates group rates and exclusive fare access on behalf of its membership that individual bookings simply cannot match. And this is where it gets crazy. Some carriers offer senior standby privileges on earlier or later flights on the same day without change fees, something standard economy passengers pay $75 to $200 to access. One phone call unlocks it. Coming up, a medical accommodation that most senior travelers desperately need and almost none ever request. Secret number 3. Airlines must accommodate medical equipment, including oxygen, at no extra charge. Flying with medical equipment is your legal right. Airlines cannot charge you for it. If you or someone you're traveling with requires medical equipment, a CPAP machine, a portable oxygen concentrator, a nebulizer, or similar devices, airlines operating under U.S. Department of Transportation regulations are prohibited from charging fees for carrying FAA-approved medical devices on board. That prohibition is absolute and enforceable. The same protections exist under UK Civil Aviation Authority regulations and equivalent frameworks in Canada and Australia. The confusion arises because airlines distinguish between their own in-flight oxygen service, which they can and do charge for, sometimes $150 to $200 per flight segment, and passenger-supplied FAA-approved portable oxygen concentrators, which must be permitted free of charge. The difference matters enormously for regular travelers managing respiratory conditions. And this is where it gets crazy. The list of FAA-approved portable oxygen concentrators includes widely available consumer models like the Inogen 1, Philips Simply Go, and AirSep Freestyle Comfort. Owning one of these devices and traveling with it costs nothing beyond the device itself. Relying on the airline's oxygen service costs hundreds of dollars per trip. But here's the twist. You must notify the airline at least 48 hours in advance that you'll be traveling with a portable oxygen concentrator. Failing to notify can result in boarding denial, not because the device isn't permitted, but because the crew hasn't been briefed on its operation and battery requirements for the specific flight duration. What most people don't realize is that airlines must also provide an onboard wheelchair, separate from jetway wheelchairs, to assist mobility-impaired passengers in reaching the lavatory during flight. This service is mandatory, not optional, and crew are trained to provide it. Most senior passengers have never heard it exists. Up next, a seating secret that costs nothing but changes everything about long-haul comfort. Secret number 4. The best seats for senior passengers are almost never in economy class, and sometimes cost nothing extra. The most comfortable seats on any aircraft are often available free, if you know when to ask. Seat selection strategy for senior travelers is one of the most overlooked elements of flight planning, and the difference between the right seat and the wrong one on a long-haul flight can mean the difference between arriving rested and arriving in genuine pain. But here's what airlines don't tell you. Some of the most desirable seats on any aircraft are regularly available at no charge to passengers who know exactly when and how to request them. Bulkhead seats, the front row of each cabin section, offer significantly more legroom than standard economy seats, no recline intrusion from the passenger ahead, and easier aisle access. On most aircraft, these seats are held back from general selection and released within 24 hours of departure to any passenger who requests them at check-in. Senior travelers citing mobility or comfort needs are routinely accommodated at this point without charge. But here's the twist. Exit row seats, which offer the greatest legroom on any aircraft, cannot be assigned to passengers with mobility limitations. This is a safety regulation, not airline discrimination. For senior travelers without mobility constraints, exit row seats represent the single best economy cabin upgrade available and are frequently available at check-in for free when not pre-selected. What most people don't realize is that calling the airline directly 24 hours before departure, rather than using the app or website, connects you to a human agent who has discretionary authority to reassign seats based on passenger needs. That discretion is exercised far more generously over the phone than any algorithm allows online. And this is where it gets crazy. Many airlines have a compassionate upgrade policy for senior travelers on undersold flights. Agents won't advertise it. But asking politely, explaining your comfort needs, and being at the airport early puts you in the best possible position to benefit from it. Coming up, the one document senior travelers should always carry that most have never been told about. Secret number 5. A medical fitness to fly letter protects you in ways travel insurance cannot. One letter from your doctor can prevent denied boarding and protect your entire trip. A fitness to fly letter, a brief document from your treating physician confirming that you are medically cleared for air travel, is one of the most powerful documents a senior traveler can carry and one of the least known. In 2026, airlines retain the legal right to deny boarding to any passenger whose health condition appears to pose a risk to themselves or others during flight. That determination is made by gate agents and onboard crew, people with no medical training and enormous time pressure. Without documentation, a senior passenger showing visible signs of a managed health condition, labored breathing from a chronic respiratory illness, visible mobility limitations, or even the presence of medical equipment can face boarding challenges that a single letter from their doctor would immediately resolve. The letter doesn't need to be lengthy. It needs to confirm your name, your condition, your fitness for the specific flight duration, and any accommodations required. And this is where it gets crazy. Travel insurance policies frequently include clauses that deny claims if the insurer can demonstrate the traveler had a pre-existing condition that made flying medically inadvisable. A fitness to fly letter on file creates a documented record that your physician approved travel, protecting your claim from that denial pathway. But here's the twist. Many cruise lines, international tour operators, and travel packages require fitness to fly documentation for passengers above certain ages or with declared health conditions as a condition of booking. Having this letter prepared before you need it eliminates last-minute stress entirely. What most people don't realize is that the letter should be updated annually or following any significant change in health status. Airlines encountering passengers with chronic conditions they manage daily will accept documentation that clearly reflects current medical reality. Coming up at the midpoint, the most valuable secret on this entire list, and it involves your checked baggage. Secret number 6, senior passengers can check mobility equipment, medications, and medical supplies for free, no matter how many bags they've already checked. Airlines must carry your medical supplies for free, on top of your standard baggage allowance. This is the secret that saves senior travelers the most money, and almost none of them know it exists. Under DOT regulations in the United States and equivalent rules in the UK, Canada, and Australia, airlines must transport mobility aids and medical equipment completely free of charge, not as part of your baggage allowance, in addition to your baggage allowance. That distinction is everything. Wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, rollators, shower chairs, and portable ramps are all classified as mobility aids and must be accepted for transport at no charge, regardless of size or weight, as checked items at the gate or ticket counter. If you've already checked 2 bags and paid for your allowance, your wheelchair still travels free. That rule cannot be waived by the airline and cannot be overridden by fare class. This completely changes everything for senior travelers who currently avoid checking mobility aids because they fear extra fees. The fee cannot legally be applied. If an airline employee attempts to charge you for a mobility aid, you have the right to refuse that charge and request a supervisor. The regulation is federal law, not airline policy. But here's the twist. Prescription medications, medical supplies including syringes, insulin, and monitoring equipment, and nutritional supplements medically required for a health condition are also classified separately from standard baggage on most carriers. A written note from your physician and clear labeling of all medical supplies significantly reduces screening delays and confirms their status as essential items. What most people don't realize is that the free mobility aid rule extends to the return journey automatically. You don't need to re-request it at your destination. The booking record flags mobility aid transport for the entire itinerary once it's noted on your original reservation. And this is where it gets crazy. Airlines are required to return mobility aids at the arrival gate, not at the baggage carousel. Receiving a wheelchair at the gate rather than waiting at baggage claim eliminates the single most physically difficult part of the arrival process for many senior travelers. If your mobility aid arrives at the carousel instead of the gate, that is a regulatory violation, and you are entitled to file a complaint with the DOT or relevant National Aviation Authority. This one secret alone is worth watching this entire video. But the secrets ahead involve rights that airlines fight hardest to keep passengers from knowing. Up next, what happens when your flight is delayed and what senior passengers are owed that most never collect. Secret number 7, delay and cancellation. Compensation rules favor senior passengers who know how to claim. Flight delays owe you more than a meal voucher, and airlines know most passengers won't claim. Flight delay and cancellation compensation is one of the most poorly understood passenger rights in aviation, and airlines benefit enormously from that confusion. In 2026, compensation frameworks across the US, UK, EU, and Australia have become more passenger-favorable than ever. But claiming requires knowing the rules, asserting them clearly, and not accepting the first response an airline gives you. In the United Kingdom and European Union, EC Regulation 261/2004 entitles passengers to compensation of up to £520 per person for flights delayed more than 3 hours due to airline controllable causes, mechanical issues, staffing shortages, scheduling errors. Weather delays are excluded. But what most passengers accept as a weather delay frequently involves a controllable element that qualifies for partial compensation. But here's the twist. U.S. regulations differ significantly. The DOT does not mandate cash compensation for domestic flight delays. However, airlines are required to provide meal vouchers for delays exceeding 3 hours and hotel accommodation for overnight delays caused by airline error. These vouchers are almost never offered proactively. They must be requested explicitly at the customer service desk. What most people don't realize is that senior travelers with documented medical needs, medication requiring refrigeration, time-sensitive medical appointments, or mobility limitations making extended airport waiting genuinely harmful, carry additional weight in compensation and rebooking negotiations. Document everything. Request supervisor involvement calmly and clearly. And this is where it gets crazy. Third-party flight compensation services like AirHelp and Claim Compass will pursue EU and UK compensation claims on your behalf for no upfront cost, taking a percentage only if the claim succeeds. For senior travelers unfamiliar with the claims process, these services recover money that would otherwise be left entirely on the table. Coming up, a security screening secret that eliminates the most stressful part of the airport experience. Secret number 8. TSA and airport security has specific accommodations for senior travelers that dramatically reduce screening stress. Senior passengers can bypass the most stressful elements of airport security, legally. Airport security screening is consistently cited as the most stressful element of air travel for senior passengers. And much of that stress is entirely avoidable with knowledge that TSA and equivalent agencies provide but rarely publicize. In 2026, multiple accommodation pathways exist specifically for senior travelers that reduce physical demands, simplify the screening process, and eliminate many of the most anxiety-inducing elements of the checkpoint experience. TSA Cares is a dedicated helpline, 1-855-787-2227 in the United States, available to passengers with disabilities, medical conditions, or mobility limitations. Calling at least 72 hours before departure connects you with a passenger support specialist who coordinates with your departure airport to provide a dedicated screening escort, arrange for alternative screening procedures, and brief security staff on any medical devices or implants before you arrive at the checkpoint. But here's the twist. TSA PreCheck, available for $78 for 5 years, allows approved travelers to pass through expedited security lanes without removing shoes, laptops, or light jackets, and without passing through full-body scanners. For senior travelers with implanted pacemakers, defibrillators, metal joint replacements, or spinal hardware, devices that trigger standard scanner alarms, PreCheck significantly reduces the likelihood of extended pat-down searches. What most people don't realize is that passengers with pacemakers or implanted cardiac devices are entitled to request alternative screening methods rather than passing through electromagnetic scanning equipment at any checkpoint. Showing your device card, issued by your cardiologist, and requesting a pat-down is your legal right, not a special favor. And this is where it gets crazy. Liquids rules for medications are different from standard liquids rules. Prescription medications in quantities exceeding 3.4 ounces are permitted through security in reasonable quantities for the trip duration. They must be declared separately and may be subject to additional screening, but they cannot be confiscated simply for exceeding the standard liquid volume limit. Number 9 brings us to the final and most financially significant secret on this list. Secret number 9, unaccompanied senior traveler assistance programs exist at every major airline, and they're completely free. Airlines offer full escort programs for senior solo travelers hidden in plain sight. This is where everything comes together, because for senior travelers flying alone, the single greatest source of anxiety is navigating a complex journey without support when something goes wrong. Missed connections, gate changes, medical moments in transit, unexpected delays in unfamiliar airports. These are the scenarios that make families hesitant and solo senior travelers genuinely nervous. And the solution exists. Fully formed, completely free, and almost entirely unknown. Every major airline operating in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia offers some version of a special assistance escort program for senior travelers who request support. Unlike the unaccompanied minor service, which carries a fee, senior assistance programs are provided under disability and accessibility accommodation frameworks at no charge. A real airline employee escorts you from check-in through security to your gate, assists with connections, and meets you at your arrival gate to guide you through to ground transportation. But here's the twist. This service must be requested at booking and confirmed 48 hours before departure. It is not automatically offered. Airlines staff it based on advance requests. Walk-up requests on the day frequently cannot be accommodated because staffing hasn't been arranged. What most people don't realize is that this service also activates a monitoring flag on your reservation. If your connecting flight is delayed or a gate change occurs, the airline's accessibility team is notified and proactively reaches out to ensure you're aware and assisted, rather than leaving you to discover the change independently in an unfamiliar terminal. And this is where it gets crazy. Requesting this service also typically triggers priority rebooking privileges if your itinerary is disrupted. Senior passengers with active accessibility flags on their reservations are moved to the front of rebooking queues during irregular operations, a meaningful advantage when hundreds of passengers are competing for seats on the next available flight. The entire aviation system has accommodations built into its infrastructure specifically for senior travelers. They exist because legislation required them. They remain invisible because airlines never volunteer the information. You now know every single one. Use them, share them, and never board another flight without them. 9 secrets the airlines never tell senior passengers. And every single one is available right now on your next booking. If this video helped someone you love travel better, share it and hit subscribe. Expert Traveler publishes the travel knowledge airlines, airports, and agencies keep buried. Next video, the 7 airport mistakes that cost senior travelers the most money and how to avoid every single one before you even reach the terminal.